Okay, about the carbon fibre that you get with a kit, I don't know much about carbon fibre, but this is really nicely machined. It certainly seems very good quality. There's no big burrs or anything, and there's no depressions where the tooling's trying to cut in or anything on any of the pieces I've got, so that's not just a one-off lucky thing with the arms or anything. Obviously the tooling they use is pretty good throughout the whole thing, so I'm quite impressed with that. Okay, so we're finally going to start to get assembled. The first problem you hit straight away is you've got all this stuff and absolutely no instructions. There's no instructions with this kit at all. So what I've done is hunted around other YouTube channels and also RC forums to find literally the assembly for the frame, because I don't know how the heck you'd do it otherwise. It's a shame they don't supply anything, but whether or not this is the way the kits are, I don't know. But there's certainly nothing with this one. So what I've done is downloaded this and printed it off, and then I've basically what almost looks like a roadkill on the bench here, put it all together in sort of a logical order so I can get a feel of the size and just check out the screws are right and everything else. These are basically the side arms for the body itself, and these are the spacers that will hold it apart. And then starting from, let's go right back down to the base, you've got the arms that will hold the motors. Just move those out of the way, and then you've got the base plate basically. I'm just going to screw that together first, and then we'll probably put some electronics on, and then we add the next plate, and so on till we actually build the quad right the way up. You do need a couple of other things. With the kit they don't supply anything to actually screw it all together, so they're all little hex screws, so you just need a couple of Allen keys. I've used a screwdriver type and just the ordinary 90-degree type, just so you can get a bit of to tighten them up. You wouldn't be able to do it with just one. And the other thing I've got is just some blue Loctite, which I'm going to hold the motors on with. So let's start assembling. Okay, so as I've said numerous times, this is all new to me, so I'm going to assemble it the way it makes logical sense to me. So I've made sure I've got the two 8mm hex screws they've suggested and a 20mm one, and I just need 3 of the little spacer pillars, and then let's just simply assemble the arms. They all seem to line up really well, which is excellent, because if they didn't we'd be in deep trouble, wouldn't we? And I show the bolts going through that way round. So I'm just going to simply put these in finger tight, and then we'll tighten them up properly once we get it all assembled. I think I might actually just leave them loose and then just have a quick run round at the end tightening them up, because that seems to work pretty well. And then pop the 20mm one through and just screw that all the way down, and then that leaves that one sticking through so I can go into the next plate, and just do that for the other 3. Yay! All done. I've built a glider. Okay, so there we have it. All looking good. Feel a bit more confident now. I've actually got a frame assembled. Just going to check these bits do go together, and they certainly do. Everything seems to it's a perfect fit, which is really nice. That's going to go up on some higher pillars as well. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the motors on, because I assume some of the electronics will have to sit in here. So I'm going to get that wired in next. Just getting ready to pop the motors on, and obviously we've got 4 motors. They're actually self-tightening ones, so 2 threads go clockwise to tighten and 2 threads go anti-clockwise to tighten. So a really good way of keeping your props on actually. And they're clearly marked, as you can see. You've got, this is a silvered one and this one's a black one, so, and you can tell simply by, if you're unscrewing it, if it's the normal way that you would have a normal thread, then that would be a normal clockwise thread, and it tightens up with a clockwise and undoes with an anti-clockwise. And the other one exactly the opposite, so it feels quite weird because you're not tightening it that way, that's actually loosening it. So what we must do is make sure the prop's working in the correct manner to tighten the props, not to loosen them, because it would literally just spin them undone and your props would come off. So the way I remember that quads always go is the front, basically this is the front facing towards me, always turns as if it's pointing straight down the body, and it works the same no matter what way round you do it, because the back also comes round and points as if it's going straight down the body, so everything comes down the body to the centre point. So that's the way I remember it anyway. To make sure we're going to get the right motor in the right place, if I just simply undo this a little bit so it's sort of in the middle, and then hold that, and then this one I'm going to test to see whether this goes on the front left. If I rotate it and it tightens down, then that's correct, isn't it? Because that prop is now going that way, so that's absolutely correct. So that's the way I want that one to work, and you just do obviously opposite corners, and as I say, they spin in that way. Okay, so we've got the motor ready to mount, and we've checked what way around it's going, obviously. Going to make sure the wires are going down the arm. You don't want them sticking out to the side there. I know it sounds obvious, but you can miss these things quite easy. And then I'm just going to flick that over, make sure the centre shaft is basically more or less in the middle, but we'll be able to pull that right in a second. Now we've got my fingers are a bit big for this, but we've got two lengths of screw that they supply with the motor fixings, and they also supply a plate. I'm not going to use the plate, there's no need on this build. Basically a 6mm and an 8mm, and I'm going to use the 6mm. And a little bit surprised because they're quite tiny screws, I think, but the actual Phillips head on them is large. You can put a large Phillips headed screwdriver in there and it gets a really good grip, so I would suggest you don't use a small one because you're going to wind up sort of rounding it off if you're not careful. So there we go, and then I'm going to try and do this so the camera can see it as well. Just going to pick one of the holes and then just get it in to start. I'm just going to nip that up and then line up the other ones. There we go, as you can see, and then just pop the other ones in. And I'm just nipping these up, that's all, just to get it all lined up. There we go. So they're all just nipped up nicely. I'm just going to make sure everything is free moving and I've got those wires in the correct place. And then what I'm going to do is take them all back out and put a little bit of Loctite on them. I'm just going to put a little tiny drop of Loctite on there. These are pretty tiny threads, so certainly not going to need a lot. And again, not going to tighten it up too much, just going to nip it up. Just do that on all the other three. There we go, so they're all nipped up. Just one last final check, make sure nothing's binding, it's not caught that bearing or anything. And then I'm literally going to tighten these up now. And this is good and tight now. There we go. That's definitely not going anywhere. And a relief that the wires are still going in the correct direction. So I've assembled the other three motors on, everything's nice and tightened up and all looking good, and it's increasing the weight quite a bit as well. I'll do a weight thing right at the end, weigh it. Next thing is to get the ESCs on, and I'm going to sort out where I'm going to put them, but that's basically the assembly done as far as we can go with prior to soldering. And the next video I'll show you how I'm going to solder the bits together and get it all fitted.